Welcome back to another episode of The Banana Show. I'm your host, Anna Banana, and today is going to be a very special episode as I talk about how depression affects empowered individuals as well. Today's guest is her name is Nicki Lynette, and she is a visual artist, recorder, dancer, and writer who advocates for mental health and depression. Her writing and her performance has been featured in prominent sites such as Afro Punk, All Doctor, and All Hip Hop, Black Doctor, and All Hip Hop. I hope you guys enjoy this interview. She will be here with me shortly. And just stay on and enjoy the ride. Okay, so I watched your trailer for first of all, I want to say thank you for having me. Thank you for taking the time out to be here this morning. I really do appreciate it. And
Oh,
yeah,
thanks for having me. Yeah, I love doing interesting podcasts and I like yours. So this is fun for me too.
thank you. Thank you. And I watched your trailer for Getting Out Alive and it really hit a special part in my heart because I can relate to that actually. So I was wondering how did you start getting into musical and
Well,
performances?
I actually wrote Get Out Alive like at the end of me recovering from being suicidal. So it was kind of like one of those creative projects where like you do it just to like get something emotional out. So I'm sorry if you hear meowing in the background, that is my very spoiled cat being spoiled for no reason. But yeah, I wrote it to kind of like make myself feel better. And I didn't even at the time that I wrote it, I didn't even know that it would take off the way that it did and become popular and get funding during a pandemic to get turned into a film. Like I didn't know any of that. I just kind of wrote it to help myself.
Oh my God. It is actually so interesting because the way how you conveyed it, I actually can relate being a suicide survivor and being someone who fights with this. Like you have all these ambitions and you have all these things you want to do, but you're feeling like this and you're still not understanding how is this even a thing if you are feeling this confident, yet you're also having this downside to you where, you can't really cope like you want, and sometimes it's so hard to get out of the rut.
Yeah, yeah. And I definitely went through that. I think a lot more people go through that than we know. And so that's part of the reason why I talk about it. Because if we don't talk about it, then we don't know how common it is.
That is so true. So my question is, how did you even think to take your performance and turn it into this advocation? Like what made you think, oh, I could use my platform to advocate for suicide and depression?
Honestly, when I first had a mental break and had to go in the psychiatric hospital, when I first started talking about mental health, I didn't think, like, I didn't know that I was gonna be using music. It didn't start with me doing it as a musician. Like I hadn't made music for quite some time back then. And I started doing it kind of a little bit like on live stream, social media, stuff like that. Just because like I felt like I couldn't really do, I have a mental illness. Like I have post traumatic stress disorder. And I felt like I couldn't really have my career, I couldn't have music if I wasn't honest, because I needed people to understand why I might need to disappear sometimes, why, I'm tired, why I'm different than I was before I had a mental break. Like I needed people to understand. And so that's kind of why I started doing it. But even then, like I didn't think I'd be doing it on a big scale. It wasn't until like I got asked to open up for somebody's American tour where I'm like, okay, I either have to like put up or shut up at this point. And that was kind of like when I decided.
Oh my God. I totally get it and I totally understand. And it is great to have somebody with this amount of platform and this amount of voice to have a say, because a lot of people they feel like they don't have anyone to go to. And especially coming from a black environment, especially me being from Jamaica, a lot of us black people, we place a lot of stress on ourselves and we don't learn to deal with it properly. So it just comes out as other things which isn't good for us and it isn't good for our health. And we shut it down and then act like it's not a thing. Right now, I'm sure if a lot of us go to our black mothers or our black fathers and we tell them, the older generation, and we tell them that we are depressed, they're going to laugh at us and say that's not real or that's not a
Not
thing
to be
or
stressed about. What you
exactly.
gotta pray or something like that. Yeah.
Or I put clothes on your back and I give you food. You don't have anything to worry about. I feel like it is a thing for Jamaicans, Caribbean people, black people. I feel like a lot of us, no matter the accent or where we're from, a lot of us household is the same, literally. And
Yeah.
it's just something that we the upcoming generation need to learn to deal with, and we need to let others know that it is okay to feel certain way, and there are other coping mechanisms that we can use to become better or at least functioning, because depression is a mental illness. It is not something that just goes away. One day you're okay, the next day you're not, the next day you're fine, the next day you're not. That's how it is. It's like a back and
Yeah.
forth type of thing.
Yeah.
And
If go ahead.
sometimes it's confusing because you can be so good today and then the next day you feel bad, and then the day when you're feeling okay, you're wondering if you're lying to yourself, if you're making this up in your head. Yeah,
Like I think like that's why I feel like conversations about it are important because I don't remember having conversations about my feelings when I was a kid. Like nobody told me, and nobody asked me, "Do you feel anxious? Well, do you feel this feeling of butterflies in your stomach sometimes, and you don't feel good?" Because then I'd have said, "Yes, I do feel that." I'd have known as a kid I was predisposed to anxiety. I wouldn't have found it out as an adult at the time when I needed those coping skills the most and didn't have them. So like I think it's important to have these conversations just so we can have the language to talk about it, just so it can be normal to talk about it, and so that people who going through things can know that like not only is what you experiencing very common, but you are not alone. There might be people around you going through the exact same thing and you don't even know it.
exactly, because they are afraid of being put aside, or they are afraid of feeling weak or just not like a normal person, so just don't talk about it. And a lot of people try to reach out, not with words but like with their actions, and they still get shut down, so that's how they end up feeling alone.
Yeah.
And yeah, my other question is how did you like, when did your love for art and performance started? At what age did you realize that, this is something that I love and this is something that I want to pursue?
I think I've always been an artist. Like I was a little kid that used to draw like handmade cards for my parents and make up little songs. I've always been an artist. My mom was not surprised that this is what I chose to do with my life because I've always done it. It's just like, I've never had a day job. Like this is all I ever done. Like
And that
this is
is
like,
okay because that's your talent.
yeah.
And I was watching some of the music videos and some of your performances, and I have to say I really love it. Like,
You.
it's really something.
Thank you so much. Like performing is so different now because like if I'm not doing my play, I'm still doing activism. So it's like each either I'm doing my play or I'm on stage talking about mental health while I'm doing my music. And like that's it's the only thing like I'm not motivated to do stuff that don't have nothing to do with mental health. I recently did like, like a online performance with this group about and it wasn't even that turned into mental health because like I'm not excited to just perform just to promote myself. That don't excite me. Like I don't care. You know what I'm saying? I can't care about that. Like it's nothing about that that I'm gonna get excited about. It don't mean nothing. It don't mean nothing. So like just perform so people could hear me sing a song. I don't care. I care about if I leave, they gonna think about mental health. They gonna think about things and people and 1 in 5 people in America deal with mental health issues. So that means 1 out of the 5 people that heard me perform is gonna reach them, maybe save their life, maybe change their life. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why I do it. That's what I do it for. That's all I care about really.
That's a creative way to think about it. And maybe this is actually your calling to help people go through certain things without feeling away or go through certain things without feeling alone, especially Black people. I'm not saying that, all of us don't go through it, but I feel like Black people on a whole, we have a lot of pressure from society, and we also put a lot of pressure on ourselves to be a certain way because we have a point to prove. We have a point that we are strong people, we are educated people, we are not what the stereotype make us out to be. So we have been competing since, we were small, we were told to go to school, get an education, be this, be that. And that can be very stifling for a young person, especially in this generation. So when you're faced with things like that you're supposed to be a certain type and you're not that alone can actually make you sad and depressed because you're trying to fit yourself in a box that you are not.
That's very true. And I hope that like with this, like now it becoming more common to talk about it, I hope that people do. Like now that we can, I hope that more people do. And I'm just trying to do my part to be in that conversation.
But yeah, I also do that too because I want to let people know that depression is not just a trend. And what I'm realizing in social media is that yes, a lot of us suffer from these mental illness, but I personally feel like they're trying to make it into a trend, and they're trying to make it to seem one way, like, okay, I was sad for 1 week, so I recover, so depression isn't real or something like that. Or they just try to use it as a way to get attention when they don't understand that depression is actually staying inside. It's not just staying inside, but sometimes you just want to be in your room, you don't want to shower, you don't want to brush your teeth, you don't want to talk to anybody. It's also going to work, getting everything done, working out, living the best life that you can, and then coming back to your house and being this other person. It is not one way for anyone at all. And people don't really understand that. They just have this box that they put everything in, and they just believe that, okay, it's this way, or okay, it's that way. And if it doesn't look like that, it's not that. And it's not good.
Yeah, I've noticed it become a very trendy topic from, when I first started doing like advocacy pretty consistently, I was doing these videos about mental health for Afro Punk, and they were really popular. And part of the reason they were popular is because there was really nobody else within the culture talking openly about mental health and having a mental illness. Um, a lot of the people who talk about it now like to talk about it from like, oh, I had this experience and now I'm better, or like I have these experiences, but you know, then I motivate myself and blah blah blah, and that's
Yeah,
not it either. Like depression is not a lack of motivation.
it
You know what
isn't.
I'm saying? Like there's a chemical component to depression. There's a physiology to it. So it's not something that's just going to be cured by the right amount of positive thinking. Like you have to be at a whole different place in your depression journey for motivational speaking to reach you. And I know that because there are times when it does and does not reach me, depending on how close I am to having had an episode, depending on how consistent my sleep has been, depending on how my mood has been. Like not everybody responds to that. And so you get a lot of people out here talking about mental health, and it seems like they just kind of like motivational speakers. And I love motivational speakers. I listen to them. I love that. Like, but I have to be at a certain point in my wellness for me to be able to receive that. Otherwise, it just feels like overstimulation. It feels like I can't connect to it. And I think people need to understand that. I that's why I talk about it, cuz like if we don't talk about it, then how do people even know?
I understand that. And it's the same thing that I was saying the other day to someone, that it looks very different for everyone. So sometimes it's actually very hard for someone to cope because We all have our biases, and a lot of people, they won't admit it. They just live in their own little box, in their own little mind, and they believe that things are just the way how they see it.
Yeah.
And so I have a question. What would you recommend? Like, what would you recommend on days that you don't feel up to it? Like, you want to get so much done, but you're just not able to.
If you can sleep, sleep. Like if you have the option to just stay in and sleep, sleep. Open the window so you can get some fresh air. Don't shame yourself about it. Don't feel bad about it. Don't make it mean anything. Sleep if you can. The other thing is on days when you just feel like crap, try to eat healthy. Like try to avoid sugar. Try to avoid
Mhm.
like junk food, chips, fries. I know like you be feeling almost like if you can't eat anything, then you just want to eat the stuff with the most calories, or you might have a problem where you overeat, depending on like where you are on the spectrum. And my whole thing would be to just try to eat healthy because there are benefits in healthy eating that has been shown to help with depression. Is not a cure. It is not a cure. Again, you have to be at a certain place for food to be able to be part of how you manage it like that. But it can help. The other thing is just like taking baby steps, getting up and just going for a walk. Like um getting up and taking a shower. These like allow yourself to do baby steps. Allow yourself. Give yourself permission to just break it down into baby steps. And we're not saying you need to do this forever for the rest of your life. We're saying that this might just be what you need to do right now. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with you needing to just take a minute and take a step back and deal with how you're feeling. Because there, like I said before, there's a chemical component to depression. If you have depression, you have low serotonin. If you have anxiety, you have high adrenaline and high norepinephrine. So you feeling like this, you feeling like
Yeah.
this. You might need to chill. You might need to take a step back and just do baby steps, do self care so that you can get back to a place of equilibrium where now you can get inspired by motivational messages. You can, you can process your emotions. You can talk about them now. But if you find that you're in a position where you just can't, hey, maybe you just can't. Maybe that's okay. Maybe it don't mean nothing bad about you. Maybe it don't mean nothing negative about you. Maybe it just means right now you need a minute. And that's fine.
That was very powerful. And I understand that. I also find that when you are sad or when you're angry, trying to push those feelings away rather than just taking the time out to go through them makes it a lot worse. Trust me. So if you're feeling bad or you're feeling sad and you need to tend to yourself, then do that. Take the time out to do that rather than push it aside. Because trust me, pushing it aside makes it feel worse. It makes you sicker. It makes the days harder to be going through. And that's something that I had to learn over the years, that just taking the time out to go through the emotions rather than, oh, I feel this way, but I'm going to ignore it. It doesn't help to ignore yourself. It doesn't help to ignore your feelings because it will come out. And sometimes it can get really ugly because you can end up snapping at people that you love, and they don't even have to do anything big for you to snap at them. But it's because of how you feel inside and it's trying to come out in ways and you're pushing it down. Sometimes it's just a little feeling that needs to just, we just need to feel it and let it go away, especially if there's a situation involved that causes us to feel like this, like sadness, not depression, because depression is chemical, but like simple sadness, and there's a situation that makes us sad. We just need to take the time out to feel the emotions, because sometimes, you know when we don't do that, I feel like pushing it down causes it to manifest in depression and causes it to prolong into something greater than it originally is or was.
And I think sometimes people feel like they're doing people around them a favor by not talking about it or by hiding how they feel without realizing you're actually like making yourself worse. So it makes it harder for people around you because they can't help you. And the further down the rabbit hole you go, the harder it gets to reach you. So yeah, you're not actually helping things by not opening up about how you feel and being honest about how you feel. You're making things worse. So don't do that. You don't have to. If you're not ready to talk about it, you're not ready to open up about it. That's one thing. Like, you just might not be ready. But can you work toward getting ready? Like, can you work toward opening up? Everything don't have to be immediate. Everything don't have to be right now, today. We're gonna do the right thing today, right now. Like, it doesn't have to be like that. You can't, you know what I'm saying? If it's not like that for you, it is all right. I promise it's okay.
That is so true. And I find that dealing, because I had a problem with just letting it go. I kind of just push it down because a lot of us from childhood, we are taught that we don't have a voice. When your
Mm.
parents there and they're telling you, go sit in the corner and do this, it's from that, it's manifesting that we don't have a voice, and it affects us in adulthood how to communicate properly. So sometimes we push it back and we push ourselves back because we don't want to allow others around us to feel bad. But I feel like it's just in our mind, because if someone loves you, they will take the time out to listen and
Yeah.
will take the time out to work out the issue. So sometimes that's just the issue. Not being able to communicate with someone and keeping everything inside you.
Yeah, and you don't really know that until you try, right? Like, you don't really know that until you have people in your life that you kind of try to open up to and say, "Hey, I'm going through this." And then, like, you might be surprised when they be like, "Yo, I kind of saw something was up with you." Like, for me, when I first had my mental break, oh, people were just awful. Like, people were terrible. But I had my best friend. And when I tell you my best friend was there for me, my best friend, boy, ooh, she saved my life. And just her love and support, because she was also the only person that I would allow close enough to even be able to impact me. And she stayed and she kind of like went through the mud with me. And now both of us are leveling up in life at the exact same time. And she was like, "This is what I wanted. This is what I invested in." And it's nice to be able to say that, because, like, she literally did save my life. I was so suicidal. Like, I actually made attempts and was found unconscious in one of them. So, you know, it's a scary thing, but you can come back from it and have a even, like, my life right now is even better than it was before I had, before my mental break. And I'm saying that even though now I live with a mental illness, like, my career now is cracking. Like, it's doing so much. I'm doing things that I believe in so much and feel so passionate about, and they're going really well. And I wouldn't be doing it. Not to say, like, I'm glad I got my mental illness, because I'm not. I'm not. I am not. No, I'm not.
Nobody's happy to be sad. Nobody's happy to
No,
be sad.
no, not at all. But I'm happy that I have purpose. I'm happy that I help people and I connect with people. Very happy about that.
And I feel like that's why it's very important for us to build a community of people that we trust and people that we support us, because you need people to lean on. Despite all of us wanting to be very independent and this strong black woman and all of this, we still need people that we can lean on, and that's why a community is very important for us. But a lot of us don't have that community, and that's something that we need to work on building for ourselves and for others that we see going through things.
Yeah, I don't know why. Like, I mean, it's a very scary thing to open up about what you're going through. Like, it's a very scary thing, to be honest, because you don't know if people are gonna reject you or what. But I will say, anybody that rejects you while you're struggling with mental health issues ain't somebody that should have been in your life in the first place. They should have never been important to you.
But
And and that's to say, and when I say that, I don't mean they as a person should not be important to you. It means you need to detach yourself from their opinions. Because for me, I had family members that didn't understand. I had family, close family, that were pretty awful. And I had to detach myself from how they thought about mental health. Not from, like, detach myself from loving them, but, like, I had to take some space from them. I had to take some distance. I had to enforce my boundaries. Like I had to educate them on how to treat me, because you teach people how to treat you. And now, like, some of those people that I love that didn't understand are some of my biggest supporters in my life. They're my, you know what I'm saying? They understand now. They understand that they needed to grow to understand, and they did the work. So you might have to detach yourself from your family if they're shaming you or don't understand or not respecting the boundaries that you put in place about your mental wellness. It don't mean they're gonna be gone forever. And some of them might. Some of them might be gone forever. I have some aunts and uncles that will never hear their name spoken from my mouth ever again. But at the same time, like, if that's the cost of my peace of mind, then woo, I can't wait to pay.
Trust me, I understand because I am currently in the situation where I had to let go of certain family members because it's like they have this image of what you should be and how you should be and how you should react. And they see you a type of way if you just don't, rather than understanding that every single one is different. You can't preach acceptance and difference and then turn around and reject people for how they are.
Yeah, for
People need
real.
to be more accepting and more open-minded and trying to understand. I feel like with older people too is like things is either their way or the highway. So they legit have they legit have a problem seen against the grain.
Yeah, yeah. And you can't tell them nothing. They don't want to hear that. Like they don't want to hear that they're the problem. Like they all they hear is, like I love our elders. I swear I do. Like they doing their best. They don't know. Like
Yeah,
they come from a generation where they even had the opportunity to break down. Like they didn't have an opportunity to not be strong. But like they didn't go through that so that we would continue to go through the same things too. Like no, like I'm gonna be honest about how I feel. I'm gonna talk about it. I'm not gonna hide it. I'm gonna work toward it. I'm gonna own it. I'm gonna acknowledge it and I'm gonna get past it instead of being like y'all who just work every day and pretend as if the problems ain't there. Like we don't have to like this generation don't have to do that. Y'all did that. Y'all crawled so we could walk. And I'm gonna
that's
walk
true.
so the next generation can run, and that generation gonna run so the one after that can fly. That's how it's supposed to be.
I am just so happy that the topic is in conversation. I'm so happy that we're able to access certain books, certain resources about the topic. I am so happy that we have people in our community advocating for our mental health. I'm so happy that there's all these podcasts, all these things that weren't even there before for us back
No, yeah.
then. And
And it's really a lot of it kind of just popped up over the past several years. And like, I feel like I've been a part of that shift. And it's one of the things I'm most proud of in my life because it's needed, it's necessary. We got to do this.
exactly, like you don't understand how happy I am that we finally have a ground to talk about things like this, a ground to sort out our problems, and that going to therapy isn't seen, well, it's still seen as taboo in some areas, but it's not seen as taboo as it was before.
Yeah, like more people are talking about it. It's still like, there are still people, they'll say that it's okay, but they secretly, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? They feel weird about it. Like, there are people like that. But screw those people. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like their opinions don't count. They don't get to tell you nothing. They just like, who cares what they think? They're not important to us.
Because yeah, you're doing something to help yourself and help others, so their opinion isn't really necessary or relevant in this situation. People that don't know anything and hasn't been through anything don't have the right to talk about anything, and that's just how it is.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Mhm. And I wanted to ask, being a vegan and eating much cleaner, do you feel that it help you mentally to cope, or it you
Yeah.
know
Oh yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Yeah. And I've been vegan a real long time. Like pretty much half my life. Um, and actually like most of my life now. And what I learned is, so like if I'm eating, so like you could be vegan and still eat junk food. Like you could be vegan and still eat unhealthy. And
Really?
like, oh goodness, yeah, because there's vegan chips, candy, cake,
Yeah,
ice
that's
cream,
true.
pie. Like it's like vegan junk everywhere. And when I was first going through my depression, like I didn't want to cook. I was eating a lot of processed food. I was eating a lot of sugar, a lot of sugar, a lot of sugar. Um, and when I cleaned up my diet, it did help. Like I'm not on medication anymore. I used to be on 3 different psych meds, and now I'm not on any. I manage everything just with like diet, lifestyle, herbs, drinking water, stress management. With the understanding that if I ever need medication, I will go back on it because I'm not gonna let anything make me suicidal. So, but I thank goodness, like I haven't needed it, knock on wood. But I just manage it with diet and lifestyle. And inflammation in the brain is linked with depression, right? And so I feel like, okay, well, if I eat anti-inflammatory food, then I'm doing my part to reduce inflammation in my body. Maybe, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's not impacting my brain. I don't know, but just the mental, like it feels like it is. It seems like it's working. So I'm gonna keep doing it. Like don't rock the boat. But like also just when you eat unhealthy, you feel that in your body. It impacts your body when you eat a lot of sugar. It
Yeah.
yeah, and when you eat healthy, you feel better. You're more likely to feel light. You're more likely to be energized. And when you have depression, energy management is so hard. Oh
Yeah.
my God. Yes, it is so hard.
All you
It's
want to do
like,
is sleep.
yes, girl, you don't want to get out the bed. It is painful. And so, that's part of the reason why, like, eating healthy helps with that because you have energy. Like right now, um, like I didn't necessarily get enough sleep, but I got some decent sleep, and I ate a lot of fruit last night, so I'm okay. You know what I'm saying? I can start my day. It's all right. That's the benefit of eating healthy.
Yeah, that sounds a lot. And I find I do okay. So in Jamaica, where I live, sometimes even though you probably know Jamaica to be this all fruitful, coconuts everywhere and all of that, it's kind of hard to eat healthy because healthy food is expensive.
Mm,
So when you're going to say, okay, one coconut water is for $170. $170 is like 170 in $1.70 in the US, I think. I'm not sure. And then you have a bun costing $90. What do you think they're going to, and more filling too? They're going to choose the bun, and this in itself also contributes to or future ailments that black people tend to have, like diabetes and all of that, because it is more affordable to not eat healthy than it is healthy. And a lot of us living in Jamaica and even in various parts of the Caribbean and even overseas can't really afford to eat healthy all the time. But just trying, even if you can't do it all the time, just trying
yeah,
actually helps.
doing your best. Like we talked about baby steps. Like maybe you can't afford all that stuff right now. Maybe you need to work your way up to being able to afford it. Maybe you need to buy one type of thing at a time. Maybe you need to learn how to make one healthy meal at a time. Maybe you need to redo your budget to figure out how you could
Yeah.
afford to eat healthy. What expenses can you potentially get rid of so that you could afford to? Like
Hmm.
baby steps is okay. No one's gonna be like, oh, that's not a good person. Well, he didn't immediately do all the stuff. Like anybody that is insensitive about where you at, like you can't allow their opinion into your experience. And I know that's easier said than done because
Yeah, that's true.
love, we love who we love. But we talking about your survival here. Like all of us on this planet were put here to survive, right? Like it's about, like you gotta do what you gotta do to get out alive. So if that means that you
Yeah.
avoid
I see
people,
what you did there.
yeah. So if that means if there are people you gotta avoid while you working on your wellness, then you're gonna avoid them while you working on your wellness because you don't need anything that's gonna take you away from what you focused on. And if what you focused on is getting better and feeling better, then that's what you focused on.
Yeah, that was very powerful. So I don't want the time to end, and I don't get to record every single thing. So well, we covered a lot, and I am grateful that you took the time to come here. But I want to end it because I don't want it to, you
Cut off.
know, yeah. So hold on. Give me a second. So I just want to thank you for being here today. And, I hope you come back some other time so that we can talk about mental health again. You
Yeah.
know, I wanted to ask how you found my podcast. Like, how did you find me?
I found you on Instagram. I like,
Ah,
yeah, I like to look at like the black blogs that talk about like real stuff and it's younger people. So yeah, I found you on Instagram and I was like, oh, this is dope. I want to do this.
thank you. Thank you. I do appreciate you for coming. I know I said that a lot, but I do appreciate you for coming. And I hope this is a conversation that we can have. I hope that you have a blessed day today.
You too.
And
You too.
I'll go pause this so I can talk to you.